Hello everyone and welcome to a great class presented by Sam. After the class or during the class, if you want to find some more inspiration, projects, or track some of our adventures, check out awsam, aww.sam on Instagram. You can also check out at Stadler North America and follow hashtags myfimo, Stadler_NA, and hashtag Make It With Michaels for some great new adventures, a bunch of projects, and fun tips.
Hi everyone, so I am Sam from the DIY lifestyle blog Awesam. As he said, you could find me over on Awesam on Instagram, and also you can check out some of our other projects on awesam.com. So today I'm going to be showing you how to make these statement earrings in different patterns, and I'll be showing you how to use, if you want to switch to the above view, the FIMO Leather-Effect Clay. So as you can see here, here's the Leather-Effect Clay, and we'll be putting different patterns on these and turning them into some statement earrings. So if we want to get started, the first thing that I do after unpackaging the clay here is I roll this out. For the earrings, you want to get it pretty thin, but not too thin. It's super lightweight, so it doesn't really matter if it's super thin on your ear. You won't be able to feel it anyway. So I'm gonna roll it out pretty thin, just so I have a good area to put my pattern on, and so I'm able to get a lot of earrings out of one package of clay. I think right here in the white, I'm using about half a package. So you can see that this is about half a pack of clay, and then I haven't rolled the yellow out super thin yet, but this is a full package of clay. So after rolling it out, what I like to do is get it close up here for you guys. Oops. What I like to do, I'm not sure if you can see it or not, is pull it a little bit. It really gives the leather effect on the clay, and you can see the leather effect really come out well. So after pulling the clay, I'm going to roll out my second color. So I'm going to first show you how I did these polka dot ones, and then we're going to go into like a stripe, a little bit of like a marble effect. So I'm going to roll out this yellow super thin as well. And I'm using the roller here, but you could also use the clay machine and roll it out and get it even thinner. All right, so now that I've got my two colors, what I'm going to do first is set this one aside. This will be our base. And then I'm going to cut out some pieces out of the yellow that will be going on top of the white. So the way that I did these ones here was I had a circular cookie cutter. FIMO also makes great clay tools. You can get even smaller circles, flower shapes, teardrop shapes, etc. So what I did for those ones was cut out some circles of the yellow. And I like to do all of this stuff. The pattern needs to go on before it's baked. But actually after the whole thing is baked, you can actually cut through the clay really easily. So you can create your shapes like this before or after the clay is baked. So cut out a couple more of these. We will put one bigger circle on. Just pattern these on here whatever way you want. In the earring world, they call this a clay slab. So You pattern and put your pattern on the whole slab first and then cut the earrings out. You could do it the other way around too, but you get more of like, I guess, a diverse pattern this way, because then you're able to get little half circles, etc.
And Sam, if we wanted to make our earrings a little larger, what would you recommend?
I would use like, so for this one, I used this cutter. So, and then this one was the smaller cutter. You could use a bigger cutter. So this one would obviously, like if you want to switch to the front view again. So if you can imagine, like this would be the size on my ear if you used a bigger cutter, and then this is the size of the one that I made. So these ones are pretty large already, but if you did want to make an even bigger statement earring, I'd say just go up in cutter size, and then you can get a pretty big one. You want to switch back over to the top-down view. So now that I've got my pattern on here, I'm going to put maybe a couple more so I can make sure I get enough for full set of earrings. So it's really up to you how you place your pattern. Obviously, if you want something, like when we get into the stripes, if you want something that is more equal of a distance, you're going to place those apart like that. But for this one, it's a little bit more, going for a little bit more like an organic look. So as you can probably tell from my background and my outfit, super inspired by 60s, 70s clothing, home decor, etc. So love to create patterns like that, and that's kind of what this polka dot pattern is an homage to. So once you've got the polka dots on here, what I like to do to push them into the clay a little bit more is roll over them. The more you roll over them, the less circular they're going to be. So if you do want them to be very flush with your base clay, you need to roll out the color that you're putting the polka dots on with even thinner, so that it really like goes flush with the white clay. I kind of want these ones to have a little bit more of like a graphic effect to them. So I'm just rolling them in a little bit so that they don't get too oval shaped. All right. So now they're in there. And what I'm going to do next is take, this was the size I used when I made these ones here. So I'm going to take this cutter and I'm just going to look and see like what kind of pattern I want. So I'm thinking I like this. So then once it comes out of the cutter, like if you've ever made cookies, it's the same kind of situation. There's always like a little bit of stuff on the edge. So just smoosh the edge a little bit in so that it's a cleaner cut. So this is one of them. And then if I want to create like another piece that goes on top, I'm going to use the smaller cutter now. Let's say there's good. All right, now that I've got my two pieces here, so this is the piece that we're going to use to attach the earring back, and then this will be the second piece. And you can obviously keep going. So on this one, I went a little longer. I put double the amount of pieces on this one. So you could go even longer than that. You could connect another piece coming out this way to make it wider as well. So The possibilities are endless. So once you've got these pieces all cut out, before you bake, what you want to do is take a needle, you can use an awl, whatever you've got to poke a hole, basically, like in the clay that is a little bit bigger than, this is a little hard to see, a little bit bigger than your jump ring. You want to poke a hole into wherever you want the top to be, because that's where the earring back is going to sit. And I like to go on both sides just to make sure that you're actually creating a hole. And then you also want to go on the bottom as well, because that's how you'll attach your next piece. And same thing here, go on the other side, just make sure you've actually got a nice hole cut out. And then for this one, if you did want to attach more, you would have to do the same thing. You'd have to put a hole on the top, a hole on the bottom to attach the next piece. But since this will be our second piece and the last piece, I'm just going to put one hole in. So then once you got all your earring pieces cut out, the holes are in and ready to go, you're ready to bake them. So now with a little bit of TV magic, we've got 2 baked pieces right here. And I'm going to show you how to put these together, and then we'll go into doing a couple more patterns. So you want to first take your jump rings. This is going to be a little bit smaller to see. Let's see. My favorite way to open a jump ring, and the easiest way that I've ever found, is by using 2 pliers. So holding the jump ring in one plier and then taking the other end of the jump ring and just twisting to open it. So your next step then is these fabulous holes you made in the earring pieces. You're going to want to stick your jump ring through there. So now we've got one hanging on this jump ring. And then I'm going to use this earring back. And then close your jump ring up. Whoops. Earring back down. All right. Make sure your jump ring is closed really well so that doesn't fall off. And then do the same technique. This is the easiest way I found to close jump rings too, just using 2 pliers like this. All right, so we got that on. Then what we want to do is take our next jump ring, put that through the bottom, and then make sure your pieces are both facing the same way. And put that next piece through the jump ring as well. And then close the jump ring up. And then if you want to switch to the front view, can you switch real quick to the front view? All right, and then there we have our finished earring. So super simple to put together, super easy to make as well. The part that's going to take the longest is the pattern. So now let me show you a couple more patterns. So let's actually start with this one, and let's pretend we've cut all of our earrings out of this. We've used up every bit of it that we can. But one of the cool things about this clay is the way that it ombre affects. So when I'm done and I've got all my scrap clays, what I like to do is smush all the clay together. All right, so really incorporate the clay. Fold it over a couple times. And then once you go ahead and roll this out again, you're going to get a really nice ombre effect, marble effect on your clay. And the more you do this, the more ombre and marbled it actually looks. You don't want to do it too many times because you will end up mixing the clay too much, but pull it a little bit to get that leather effect in there. And you get this really cool marble ombre effect. And then when you put it through, if you do have a clay roller, if you put it through the clay roller, it's a lot easier than I would say with the roller itself to get that ombre effect in one go. So with this, like if I wanted to keep going, I can fold it over. Pulling it out really helps as well. So now if I fold it over and go again, becomes even more incorporated here. Now you can see, if you can see all those really great little patterns in here. And it really shows off the leather effect well. So then you can use your cookie cutters or your clay cutters and do exactly the same thing here. So let's say we want to make like kind of a flower shape one. You can do the same thing here as well. Get a little scalloped marble effect. And now if you want to do the stripes, what we'll use this pink. And then we're going to do the same thing with the stripes. I'd say you want to roll it out even thinner than when we did the polka dots. Just because I think the stripes work the best. So I did a couple different experiments here. Here's the one stripe I did. If you can see from the side, they're definitely raised up a lot here. And the one that I did where it was more incorporated definitely looks more stripe-like, I'd say, but I guess it definitely depends on the look you're going for. Like this is a different kind of stripe look, but so we're gonna go with this one where the stripes are a little bit more incorporated. So this one we're gonna roll out pretty thin. All right. And another thing. And then take this clay cutter here, and this is super helpful in getting those straight lines. So since my clay is kind of lopsided, I'm just going to go ahead and cut the first one to get a nice clean edge. All right, now that I have a clean edge here, I'm going to go ahead and cut out my stripes. Because we're cutting out such a long stripe, you can probably end up in the end cutting this in half as well. And then same thing with the circles here. Once you cut it out, there's going to be a little bit of a fuzzy edge. So if you want to smooth that out with your fingers. So we got one stripe there. Second stripe, and then we'll add this on top of that marbled clay we just did. Now we got our stripes cut out. We'll roll this out a bit more just to get it to a good place to cut. Let me cut this in half so we get a little bit more out of this. Then what you want to do is lay your stripes down wherever you want to cut out your earring. So we're going to put, so we'll put ours here. So when I made these, you could see I just went along and I did this at equal distances. Depends on the pattern you want to make, but you could do something where you have like some stripes at the bottom and then you add some stripes at the top as well. Do this many. Then the same thing we did with our polka dot pattern, I'm going to roll over this. But the little warning that I gave you about the polka dots, the same thing will happen with the stripes as well. So I'd say don't apply too much pressure when rolling. It helps to not flatten it out too much and change the shape. And then the easiest way to roll out the stripes, I'd say, would be to go in the direction of the stripes. So instead of rolling this way with the stripes, roll in both directions of the stripes. When I do the stripe pattern, I like for it to be pretty flush with the other clay. It adds a different look to it. So now they're super flush with that clay. And we can go ahead and cut ours out. So let's go, since somebody asked about making a bigger earring, let's go with the bigger one on this. So there is our striped pattern. And let's say we'll do, for this one, you can do the top as like a little scalloped piece. All right. So then after adding our holes in, there would be our striped earring. And once you're done, same kind of thing goes for this. You can, the way that the yellow and white works, you can make pieces that have different marble colors. You could do like a rainbow marble. So as many colors as you add on, I'd say you could do a marble effect and ombre effect with those as well. So you're never really wasting any of the clay. And now that we have all of our pieces cut out, one of the really cool things with this clay, as I mentioned earlier, is that you can actually wait until it is baked in order to cut it. So if you wanted to go ahead and take this piece as it is and bake it, and if you want to get like a more organic shape with scissors, you could actually bake this first, and then as it's a baked piece, you could cut it. And what I wanted to show you lastly is just how to get a piece like this. This, as I was saying about how like I'm very inspired by retro things, this is definitely a very retro shape with the hole cut out of the middle. So the way that I did that one is actually super simple. So if we take our stripe piece we just did, and you take a smaller cutter, you can either go, so here's a good example of one that is slightly off center. And then this one is in the center. So you could go off center slightly. Just want to make sure you leave enough room at the top to still be able to put the hole for the jump ring. We went slightly off center with that. And then what I was doing when I was testing this out as well is then I can use that centerpiece as the top of my earring. So you could cut the hole out of the middle and then take that centerpiece, and now you've got the top of your earring, and the stripes are all the same. They line up really well. So it works out perfectly. All right. And if you want to switch back to the front view. So we made our completed earrings today. We got the polka dot, the stripe, and then a bonus little marble technique with your leftovers. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little tutorial for the retro statement earrings. If you want to follow along on more of my projects, you can head over to Awesam on Instagram or awesam.com. Make sure to follow Stadler North America. And if you work on any of your projects, you can tag, hold on one second, let's get this up. You can tag hashtag myFIMO, hashtag Stadler_NA, and hashtag Make It with Michaels. Thank you all so much for joining.